are done listening to this, you're going to be a stronger woman than you ever thought you could be. These are Moxie leaders, Denise D'Agostino, Ellen Keithline-Byrne, and Karen Kirkner. Thank you so much for being here. Somebody said to me, well, why should we be on? I said, because you're teaching women how to be strong. What is your background first? Let's go through that. What's your background, Denise?
Yeah, I come out of the corporate arena. I worked at Bayer. Thank you. Thank you. I've survived. Worked at Bayer Healthcare Pharmaceuticals for a good portion of my career as head of HR and also sitting on the executive team. So it's great to be able to take a look at how we help the women inside of corporations, but now parlay that to helping women across all different companies.
Ellen, what's your background?
I started in corporate America as well as selling technology and quickly realized that I like dealing with the people and understanding really what the people were all about and not and what was getting in their way. So I found myself wanting to know more, so I went back, got a degree in psychology, and from there ended up doing organizational psychology. So now doing executive coaching, consulting.
You can really pick people's brains.
Yeah, I love that. I love that understanding what do people really need in order to be the best that they can be.
And Karen, what's your background?
Like Denise, I also started in human resources, but about 20 years ago went out on my own and did a combination of career coaching, executive coaching, organizational consulting, and team coaching.
How did the three of you come together and come up with Moxie Leaders? How does that story go?
We were all in a professional organization and sharing common threads with our client, about our clients with each other, helping each other problem solve. And we realized that we all, one, had a passion for women's leadership development, and second of all, we're seeing some common threads in the women who we were coaching. So we saw that they were holding themselves back because of things like lack of confidence, and that inner critic voice was taking over. And
I'm sorry.
Oh my God!
Stop it!
Right.
What do women do wrong so that we can't get to a CEO level? How do we be more assertive? What do you tell women?
Yeah. So, do you want to take that one?
Well, so what we find is that all of our cultures, we've all grown up. You grew up in Indiana. We all have our own little kind of places and roots where we came from. But when you start to really look at no matter where it was, there are roots that women have that are internal stereotypes that they end up holding on to. They don't even know they do, and they can be super confident, work really hard.
Give me examples. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Because you're supposed to, when you're a little girl, you grow up thinking, I need to please everybody. Not all little girls, but many little girls.
And be the diplomat and smooth things over.
Yes. And they want to be seen as wonderful all the time. So they are called the disease to please.
Oh, great.
You don't have that, do you, Ann?
I probably somewhere along the way. As you get older, I think you feel better about who you are. You know things.
Right.
You can bring more to the table.
Yeah.
But how do we teach young women to be leaders and CEOs and good ones and not take the fall for somebody else? How do we do that?
Yeah, so we really focus on helping women take a pause and really reflect and think about themselves, what they're doing well, how they show up, what's hurting them, so that then they can decide, what do I want to get rid of and what do I want to work on so that I can be stronger or better. So we were just talking about some of the traps the women fall in. Often women will put their job before their career, so they'll get so good at doing what they do, they kind of get stuck in that job. So we help women take a look at, well, where do I really want to go? And is my behavior currently serving me to help me get there?
Do men move faster than women because we don't want to make waves? Is that?
Absolutely. And the other thing that we do is we don't apply for jobs until we have 100% of the qualifications, whereas men will apply when they've got 60% of what we're asking.
What is our problem? And do you think that 5%, I guess, are CEOs that are females in this country?
Right.
That's a terrible number.
Yeah.
I often think, you know, we're trying to raise the kids, maybe we're married, we're trying to do it all, and it is hard unless you've got a partner that's 50-50. It's hard. I mean, I was
Yeah.
very lucky. I married a guy who was with the kids at night when I'm doing this, and so we 50-50 partnered,
Yeah.
and our family was all back in Indiana. So it was hard. Sometimes the bottom does fall out,
Yeah.
and you just have to recognize that. Moxie Leaders, you formed something called Moxie Project, and how was that born? Who decided to do that, and what is Moxie Project?
Well, so the three of us said, okay, we see these competent, smart, hardworking women. They get to this certain level, as we just talked about, and why can't they get to that next level? So we knew from our own decades of experience, all right, we know what we can do as far as coaches and designing programs. Let's look at some of the research that's out there, that what really helps women start to shift that identity. So we designed a program, 6 months. It's like a boot camp, where they get all different facets of executive coaching, peer coaching, skill building. But what it does is it's able to start to help women see what Denise was referring to, where they start to see, what do they really want? How do they want that senior level job, but how do they get there? And what are the steps that they need to do to get there? So they have this support system that we've created in this 6 months, and the skill building and understanding these traps that we talked about the I'm sorry's or the disease to please, and how do we start to shift our behaviors?
You just graduated your first class with this, or about to?
Yeah, no, last fall, it was in November, our
And
first class.
what did you see over the 6 months in the women that you were coaching?
It was amazing how, when they got that support, they started to challenge themselves and get out of their comfort zones and started speaking up more in meetings and being asked to join more strategic conversations because of that. And the success really built upon itself, so they realized, oh, you know, this is actually netting good results, and then they would push themselves further out of their comfort zones. We had some women getting promoted. We had women stepping into increased responsibility, raising their hand more and saying, I'll take that responsibility on. So it was really remarkable.
Do we need to know how to play with guys better? Do we know how to do that?
So one of the things we focus on is women creating their own leadership identity and owning the voice that they bring to whatever work, whatever career they do, so that they're able to stand up for what they believe, what they want. We will hear women talk about how when they're in a meeting, they may hold back and not say something. They may not be the expert, so they're going to sit back, and then they'll tell us, oh, somebody just said that, you know, after I should have said it. So through our program, we help them build the confidence so that they know that they could speak up and step out, and it doesn't need to be perfect, but believe in who they are and what they bring.
And I think the sentences probably need to be, I think we should yada yada, rather than, well, do you think that maybe...
Yes, exactly. Yes.
I mean, you know,
Right.
again, age is a factor in it. And at my age, 40 years in this business, I'm like, I think we should do this. You can agree or disagree with me, you know, which is terrific, but just get stuff out on the table.
Yes, absolutely. And don't make it conditional and, well, you might have already thought of this, but what about this?
Yeah,
Or-
the conditions that you said
Exactly.
before.
One thing I just want to add is, so they call that minimizing. So it's not only minimizing with your language, minimizing with your body. So you walk into a meeting, and we joke about men will come into an office and they'll spread her out, they'll have their stuff all over, they'll be physically like this, right? And then you'll see women come in and they're like this, and they'll take up this much space. Oh, I'm so sorry, I'm late. And all of a sudden, they're small. They're treated like they're small.
So stop being small.
Instead of being, I'm here and I have something to say.
Which is terrific. Now, who, with the Moxie Project that's 6 months long, who are you looking for to be in this, let's say, class? What types of women? Already people that are in the corporate world, maybe somebody who wants to change careers and be in the corporate world. Who's the ideal candidate to take this class? Good question.
Yeah, so I would say it's somebody hungry for a change. So it could be a leader with or without direct reports, but somebody that is a woman that is influential in their organization and that wants to take their their effectiveness to the next level?
Typically, it's the companies or nonprofits are hiring us, so they're sending their women to our program. So it's usually somebody they want to invest in. They see potential, and they say, okay, you know what, we can see them up here. Maybe they can't see themselves yet, but let's try to move the needle on that.
Well, that's a nice business
exciting.
model that somebody's coming after you guys to help women. Would you ever take a guy in any of your classes, or is it just strictly women?
You know, that's a great question, and we hear that we often hear, like, why aren't men part of the group? And what we found is that we need to create that safe space for women to really claim their leadership voice, and then we can invite men in to help them develop the right behaviors with men in the room, but it really needs to be all women for our boot camp experience.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
And that's the research that we pulled in. There's an expert, Robin Ely from Harvard University, and she and a few other authors have authored a very important paper that talks about that need for leadership identity in a single-sex environment. Then you move them into a more, co-ed environments. So it's proven to work.
What do you have to be a female leader in this day and age? Moxie, obviously.
Obviously.
What else?
Courage, confidence, and the ability to get feedback. So a lot of our program is heavily focused on self-reflection, to listen and get your own feedback, but to get it from others, and not to be afraid to get it, but actually to crave it, so that you can then make course corrections, or you could be appreciated for what you're bringing to the party.
In a man's world, some women can be seen as too heavy-handed. They can't handle that. So where's the line?
That's called the double bind.
Of course it is.
The double bind. The double bind is I'm either too nice or I'm too tough to be a leader. So I'm not seen as leaderly enough. So how do you start to look at yourself or get feedback from other people to say, okay, so how do I want to be seen by others? How do I want to show up?
What's the good news in all of this? Are women starting to make strides, or are we still back in the 1950s?
Such a good question.
I'm reading her face.
Such a
like,
good
oh.
question. They're absolutely making strides. We know the numbers are increasing. It's just not as fast as we would like. And I think the other good news is that women have so many natural characteristics that make them excellent leaders. They just need to trust themselves more, bring their voice to the table more, because we need their voices at all the tables out there.
Are there exercises that you do with women to get this done, just to have self-confidence when you walk right into the room?
We do. At the beginning of the workshops, we incorporate videotaping, which sounds simple enough, but it really helps the women get up in front of their peers. They're actually taped so that they can then go back and watch it and see what they liked
Oh, and it's
or
so
what
hard
they
to watch
didn't
yourself.
like.
Yes.
You know?
When
Yeah.
you're not in your business, it's definitely not a norm.
But initially it really is, because you're self-conscious of how you're holding yourself,
Yes.
what you do with your hands, how did you speak,
It's so powerful, though,
Yeah,
when
it
they
is.
have the courage to watch it, to look at it, and to make a slight shift that makes a big difference. We put them through that several times so that they could see the progress.
So what joy are you getting out of all of this?
It's amazing watching the growth, right? I mean, all of us, when we finish a full day workshop with these women, it's amazing just within the span of a day seeing their growth and seeing how well they respond to the feedback, the coaching. Ellen does a great piece on the inner critic, so they learn about those voices in their heads that they need to manage, and that makes a huge difference. All of a sudden they realize, I don't have to listen to that voice that says I'm stupid.
You're not good enough.
Exactly.
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 Well, where do you want to take Moxie leaders in the years to come, do you think? Or are you doing it right now?
Now, I think we continue taking this to as many women as we can, but we also recognize that there's the organizational shifts that have to happen so that it could be, women can rise at greater numbers. And also engaging men in the conversation. We need to do this with them and to bring those allies along so that, it's not men versus women, it's together.
So we're designing you know, lots of different aspects of our business are starting to really grow. What's exciting, to go back to one of your questions, what's the good news about this is organizations are seeing the value that they know in order to see, they need diversity of thought at the top. They realize that research is saying the diversity at the top actually affects the bottom line in a big way. So it's not just nice to have women at the top. It's just not the right thing to do. It's actually affecting their you know, profits, and it actually shows that women, with more women decision makers at the top, there's actually more conservative bottom line. So more conservative balance sheet.
You want to wrap this up with your thoughts?
Let's see.
A success story maybe that you've already had.
We had one woman in our very first cohort who initially didn't see a lot of value in self-reflection and thought that she was a pretty good leader, and she realized throughout the program that A, she wasn't delegating enough, so she was too in the weeds. So
A control freak?
A control freak. Had to make every decision. She elevated her focus. She became more strategic. She got promoted. She realized that, hey, I have all these great people that I've got to use more. And she started to really think about her actions in a whole different way and started showing up very differently. And the CEO even noticed it.
Well, I hope that you have so many success stories as you go and grow Moxie leaders. Denise, Ellen, and Karen, thanks for making women stronger. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anne.
Thanks,
Thank
Anne.
you.
Spend all night kissing and if one was right here, then who else is missing? Got a little sidetracked if I'm as a wish and I found the keys to the door, but it's also a metaphor. Need to keep locked in the grocery store, but mine just to save time. Skip right ahead to the last ride.